Okay, so I have a question for you. When was the last time you thought about your grip style? Probably not often for your daily mouse because our finger memory should just fall into place and our fingers and our palm align on our daily mouse and everything should be nice and comfortable. Unless you're changing a mouse, of course, then the grip style definitely comes into the equation. In the gaming community, there's this conversation between grip styles that fall into three main categories: claw, palm, and fingertip, but there's way more nuance than that, and I'll go over all the things that you actually should be thinking about instead of pigeonhole you into one category or the other. But of course, those categories in general are helpful to understand of like kind of where you align, and from there you can navigate and refine your grip style for better aim. One of the reasons I want to make this video is because I want to have better aim and trying to challenge myself to hold the mouse better and figure out where my weaknesses are. And I think a lot of people fall in the same category where they don't want to become esports professional players, but they want to just suck less with their aim in the FPS games that they play. And for disclosure, this video is sponsored by ASUS, but they don't dictate the content. It's more of a experimentation with me playing around with their new mice and how they kind of fit into this whole conversation about grip styles, different mouse shapes and sizes. Because obviously the conversation about grip styles applies to all brands, okay? Not just ASUS. And the main three general grip styles right now are palm, claw, and fingertip. And you can obviously have a different variation of it based on the mouse shape, the mouse weight, your hand size, etc. Generally, palm grip is good for larger hands and larger mice, and it's a bit more comfortable, but does rely on your elbow and shoulder for a little bit of that mouse mobility, versus the other two methods of claw or fingertip, where you have way more mobility within your fingertips to actually move the mouse and have that critical aim. And also a lot of people use the bottom of their wrist to anchor on the mouse pad and actually use the wrist for movement and the fingertips for refined movement in the end. Fingertip and claw grip is considered to be like the most optimal for FPS gaming just because you have way more mobility with your mouse versus palm. But my grip is hybrid palm / fingertip. And so you can kind of build on the building blocks of each grip style and their benefits to have, like, say, way more comfortable grip style, but still that is very accurate. You know how back in the day we used to add weights to mice to make them heavier, but that also meant that they would be so unbalanced, and like holding them by the side would mean that it would either roll forward or backwards, and you would have to adjust your grip accordingly. Luckily now everything is super lightweight and very well balanced, so you don't really have to worry, but still it's a very good rule of thumb to grab the mouse. Like I try to hold it with just two fingers, but now it's also a good idea to hold the mouse, release your two top fingers that are on the triggers, jiggle the mouse and see if it's shaking anywhere, if it's going in places that it shouldn't be, to kind of determine on like where you should be holding the mouse on both the left and the right side so the mouse is actually stable. So this is how I would hold the mouse normally, looking at the bottom. These are the two fingers, my thumb slightly below the pinky. Very, very nicely balanced. Here you would notice my thumb and my pinky fingers are slightly below the bottom of the mouse. And so this is what you call also anchoring with your fingertips on the mouse pad to give you more control. And over time you develop this finger memory to lift these anchor points off the mouse pad to give you the smoothest glide experience, but also then slightly lowering them down to give you more control again. Another thing is using the bottom of my wrist as another anchor point, and this way you have a lot of mobility in this direction, but because of my hybrid palm / fingertip grip, I have all this room where I can move the mouse back into my wrist, and again giving me a little bit more finesse, I would say. And that is one of the reasons why I have such a hard time finding targets in my bottom left and right, just because the mouse has nowhere else to go but into my palm, and because I anchor all the time, I have no other mobility beyond that. So that means I basically have to retrain my anchor point to lift when I need to find targets in my bottom left and right, because horizontal tracking for me is quite easy, and top left and right is also much easier than the bottom left and right. Another thing to notice is if the mouse aligns with your fingers or is slightly angled. So for my grip style, it is angled below my hand. You can see the same thing applies to Eber and how he holds the mouse both on the productivity and on the gaming side, which means you subconsciously have to compensate for proper flat horizontal movement, while Mike holds his daily mouse in line with the fingers, which I think is slightly easier to control when it comes to proper flat horizontal movement. Non-symmetrical ergonomic mice for me are perfect. So this is the Keras 2 Ace, and it just fits me like a glove because of my hybrid palm grip. And like, this is very, very comfortable. If my ring and pinky fingers have to claw in order to find a comfortable position, then I also have to claw at the top. But for example, with this mouse, this is perfect right now. My fingers are relatively straight and fingertip, and I can move this very, very comfortable. And again, my thumb falls just below the mouse, so I can raise it if I need to move a lot, or I can lower it for that extra precision, you know? Here I have the very flat and unusual MZ1 from Zai, but because of the deep grooves in our primary triggers, it's just perfect for fingertip. Like, it just accepts your fingers in that spot, and that's it. Even though my pinky and ring fingers are a bit more clawy on the right side, the grooves over here just allow for really awesome fingertip style. Really, really comfortable. For smaller mice like the Viper Mini, my large hands just fall into claw grip naturally, just because there's not enough surface area on the mouse fingertip and claw. I just find it so comfortable, and I perform with smaller mice with the FPS really well, and I think it's because I'm still very stuck in my old ways of anchoring with the bottom, and so smaller mouse has more mobility to go where I need to go in those bottom left and right corners. But how do you actually train yourself to change your grip style to have better aim? And I used to be almost global elite level with CSGO, and now I'm nowhere near that. But I think it comes through eliminating certain things that are holding you back when it comes to holding your mouse. And for me, that started with eliminating the need to anchor with my bottom of my wrist, because that was holding me back of trying to find my targets in the bottom left and right corners. And with the games like the finals, where you have so much verticality, eliminating the need to anchor my palm gave me way more motion and mobility and allowed me to actually track targets vertically way more comfortably than before. And with that came the need to engage my elbow a little bit more, and also playing around with sensitivity, so lowering the sensitivity in game and making sure that I'm still sticking around with 800 to 2000 DPI on the mouse, so that I can have, you know, precision while having lots of movement on my mouse pad. But also accuracy and how well you perform in certain game isn't just related to how you hold the mouse. Map knowledge, sound design, different spray patterns, and knowing those spray patterns, so different damage fall off with certain weapons, all those things really contribute to how well you can perform outside of just aiming well. I definitely think I'm in a minority because I hate aim trainers. Like, they're really good to recognize your flaws and what you need to work on, and they are really good, let's say if you spend 5 to 10 minutes before you play your favorite FPS games to just warm up, for example, but just constantly shooting stupid circles that are constantly appearing on the wall is just no fun. I'd rather play the games that I play to improve my aim instead. I also experimented with the 1-3-1 finger placement that gave me way more mobility, surprisingly, within the wrist area if I'm anchoring with the bottom of my wrist. But I just didn't know what to do with my middle finger, so I resorted back to the 1-2 finger placement instead. And this entire Ace lineup from ASUS actually covers a variety of sizes and styles of mice to fit your particular grip style. I already like the Harp Ace, but the extreme version with the real carbon fiber and only a 46 gram body, I mean, it's just insanity. They designed the shape for claw grip, but it suits my hybrid palm and fingertip very well. The Harp Ace Mini is also another gem that I perform very well in FPS, that is designed for my grip style exactly. It's got very similar width dimensions to the bigger Harp Ace, so actually swapping between the two feels quite familiar, but having a much shorter shell means just more mobility within the palm area if you are anchoring, and also the 49 gram body feels right at home for this size of mouse. Also, we have the Keras 2 Ace, which is designed for palm and claw, with the ergonomic body and a super lightweight shell at 54 grams. It's not a big mouse, but it offers a surprising amount of comfort for a relaxed grip and really makes me miss ergonomic mice in the gaming space. These and many other recommended mice will be listed below. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.